Fantasy Football Almost Daily is brought to you by Fanball. The Week 4 Fanball Winners Contests are up right now on the Fanball mobile app. That includes the Thursday night Seahawks-Cardinals matchup that's only $1 to play. Who's going to have the most fantasy points, Darnold or Kyler? Which of the running backs will have the best night? Is it Trey Benson, Kenneth Walker, or Zach Charbonnet? How about the Seattle wide receivers, JSN, Cooper Kupp, or Torrey Horton? Or the Cards receivers, McBride, Harrison, or Michael Wilson? I have strong opinions on all of these, and I'm going to preview them on this episode of Fantasy Football Almost Daily. But if you pick the winners in these 4 groups of 4, you split the pot with your fellow winners. There's $1 contests all over the slate this week for Week 4, including the Ireland game between the Vikings and Steelers, some early and late pick threes, the Sunday night game, and the Monday night doubleheader. Come pick the winners with us. And if you use the promo code ALMOST, you'll get a $20 deposit match for first-time depositors on Fanball. We're also brought to you by Game Blazers, where in Week 4, you can play the new King of the Hill contest. It's a single-entry tournament where first place takes down the whole cash prize pool of $2,500. And just like that, all cash prizes at Game Blazers are just cash prizes and free-to-play games. Take your shot at $36,000 in prizes on the line during Week 4 at Game Blazers in free-to-play contests. And if you haven't registered yet, be sure to use your promo code FFAD when you make a first deposit of a match of up to $100. And you say, what, they're free-to-play games? Why do I need to make a deposit? Well, it's because you buy items in packs, and you use those packs to build fantastic lineups on Game Blazers, and you can use those packs all season long. It's not just a one-week thing. Go build your ultimate fantasy team over at Game Blazers. Today, we're going to preview the Thursday night contest between the Seahawks and Cardinals, 2 teams that are 2-1, and on paper, pretty much evenly matched, which is why Vegas has this as basically a pick 'em right now. Let's see if we can decipher who wins this game, but more importantly, who wins your fantasy matchups for you. But first, Less Than Jake.
From the Sports Hub Games Network, this is Fantasy Football Almost Daily with your host, Matt Harrison.
Hey friends, it's Matt Harrison back again, riding solo again for the Thursday night Fantasy Football Weekly style preview of the game. You can find me on Twitter or Blue Sky at Explosive Output. As I said, the Thursday night contest FFW style. And of course, you can find me and Kent Wyrock and Paul Charchian previewing all of the Week 4 action on Fantasy Football Weekly. That's on your favorite podcast platform. It'll be up late Friday, and you can get all of the info, including a special guest that we'll have this week. Our Irish correspondent will be joining the show to give us some notes on who the best plays in the Vikings-Steelers Dublin, Ireland game will be. I'm excited for that one. But let's talk about Thursday night, and we're going to start with the visiting Seahawks here. This would be an A grade for one of the Seahawks running backs if it was only one of them, but instead we're looking at Charbonnet probably returning, and Kenneth Walker struggled a little bit last week to the tune of only 2.4 yards per carry. Still, Walker has 3 touchdowns on the young season, and Charbonnet did score once in Week 1. He obviously missed last week, but it was a red zone carry, so that's important. I could see this going back to a pretty even time split between the 2 backs. I'm going to give the slight edge to Walker for a grade in this one because so far the Cards have been very stout against the run, but they've given up the 4th most receptions, 5th most receiving yards, and 3rd most receiving touchdowns to running backs on this young season. Charbonnet didn't see a single target in either game he played this year, and Walker's seeing about 2 catches per game. So I'm going to give Walker a B- grade in here, Charbonnet a C+ grade, because Charch can't stop me on the pluses and minuses, can he? No, he can't. Jackson Smith and Jigba gets an A grade, though, but I think Cooper Kupp and Torrey Horton are just C grades. I'm going to lump in Sam Darnold with a B grade and talk about the whole passing game at once. The Cardinals have seen the most passing attempts in the league this year and the most completions. That makes sense. They've also seen the 2nd most passing yards. This includes the most receptions to wide receivers and the 6th most receiving yards to the position. The problem is They've only allowed 4 passing scores in the 3 games so far. So it's definitely a bend but don't break offense. So we're really searching for volume in this game, which is why JSN gets the A grade. He's averaging almost 10 targets per game right now. Kupp and Horton get C's because they're now splitting more snaps, and Horton is finding himself on the field almost every time they need a boundary receiver out there, while Kupp is still more relegated to slot duties. I mean, you start either at your own risk. I'd probably keep them on the bench if I had better options this week, but Darnold will probably pass for over 250 yards in this game. He's probably looking at 1 to 2 touchdown passes. It's B-worthy for Darnold, and if you're just desperate for receiver help, Horton or Kupp could be a helper there. The Cardinals are nice and easy on the other side because they only basically have one guy at each position that you'd consider starting. So we can talk about those 4 guys right off the bat. We'll start with Kyler. He gets a C grade. He's only averaging 180 passing yards per game and just over a touchdown pass per game. His rushing ability does give him some stability, though, as he's averaging almost 36 yards on the ground. And I think both of his passing and rushing yards could see a slight uptick with the loss of James Conner. I mean, that production's got to go somewhere. I don't think that they're going to put it all on Trey Benson's back because that's a lot of work on one guy. So just a C grade for Kyler. And let's talk about Trey Benson. He'll get a more full workload now that Connor's out for the year. Amari DiMarcado might spell him a little bit. I think Zonovan Knight is there too, but I don't foresee those guys getting too many touches here. Seattle has allowed the most running back touches per game this year at 33 per game, and the 3rd most running back combo yards at 158 per game. So if Benson's getting all of this work, I mean, that's 33 touches and 158 yards in this game. That's a lot. But Benson's looked above average in his limited role. Would we be surprised if he got to 120 combo yards in this game? I wouldn't be surprised, not at all. Especially since he's been pretty active in the pass game. I'm going to throw an A- grade on Trey Benson in this one. I kind of like him this week. If you're doing that Fanball Winners contest, definitely Benson over Walker or Charbonnet this week. The other Trey on the team, McBride, he's an obvious A grade. He's averaging 8 targets per week. And I'll note, last year he had 7 catches for 70 yards and 12 catches for 133 yards in the 2 meetings with the Seahawks. So you can fire him up. Oh, by the way, the Seahawks have allowed the 2nd most receptions to the tight end position this year. McBride might be one of the best players of the week in fantasy. He's like the fantasy aardvark, and I don't have an aardvark noise, so I'll just play a few crickets here for because that's the closest animal noise I think I have. I mean, I got an air horn for him, but that's about it. Finally, Marvin Harrison Jr., my cousin. He's just not getting the target load right now to be a solid number 1 wide receiver in the league. And it's starting to affect his fantasy workload too. He's got 6, 5, and 6 targets in the 3 games so far this year. That's turned to an output of 5 catches for 71 and a score in week 1. That was good. Only 2 for 27 in week 2 and only 3 for 44 in week 3. And it doesn't get any easier this week, especially if Devin Witherspoon, who looks like he's going to play, might flex into Harrison's direction more often than not. I just don't like the outcome of that. Seattle already been the 2nd toughest wide receiver defense in the league. They're allowing the fewest touchdowns, the 3rd fewest receptions, and the 4th fewest yards. That adds up to a D grade for Marvin Harrison. And you might be saying, well, Matt, Charch doesn't let you give D grades. Well, I do D grades for dart throws. And I'm very nervous that Marvin Harrison is not only just a dart throw for this week, but maybe a dart throw for the rest of the season. If people are interested in Marvin Harrison in your league and you have the ability to trade, I think I'd listen to some offers right now, especially if you can get 80, 90 cents on the dollar for him right now. All right, that's pretty much it for this episode, but I'll remind you about Game Blazers. Also, they have common pack bundles available this week only at Game Blazers. You get 2 packs for just $15, and there's a limit of 5 bundles per user. Don't forget to use that promo code FFAD for up to a $100 deposit match only at Game Blazers. We'll be back tomorrow with another show. Trevor Jones is going to be back, and we'll preview this week's best DFS plays. I thought we nailed it kind of last week, so I hope you tune in and hear how we can help you win some money again this week. We hope to have your eyeballs and ear holes tuning into us tomorrow on Fantasy Football Almost Daily. I mean, maybe.